There's this incredible quote from the 6th century master Zhiyi. He said, "To contemplate is to breathe the rhythm of awakening." And that, right there, is the perfect place for us to begin.
All right, so let's jump right in. What we're exploring today are two completely different but equally profound maps of the human mind. Think of them as ancient blueprints for the journey to clarity. One of them looks like a straight ladder, and the other, well, that one's a circle.
And every map needs a map maker, right? Our guides on this journey are two brilliant thinkers. You could almost call them cartographers of consciousness. First, we've got Buddhaghosa, a scholar monk from 5th century Sri Lanka. And then there's Zhiyi, the master from 6th century China. Both of them set out to draw a clear path from the fog of everyday confusion to the bright light of awakening.
And this is where you can see just how different their approaches were. On the one hand, you can think of Buddhaghosa as the engineer. His path is all about precision, a step-by-step ladder you climb towards purification. On the other hand, Zhiyi is more like the architect. He designed a holistic, all-encompassing circle where everything is connected. This is the big idea for today: the ladder versus the circle. So first up, let's start climbing that ladder. Buddhaghosa's system is famously known as the path of purification, and it is exactly what it sounds like: methodical, analytical, and strictly sequential. And I mean strictly. There are no shortcuts here. You can't skip a run. Okay, so check this out. These are the 7 rungs on his ladder. It all starts with a solid foundation of ethical conduct. That's virtue. Only then can you move on to purifying the mind through concentration. And that concentration is what allows you to clarify your view of reality. You see how it works? Each step is built directly on top of the one before it, a steady climb all the way to the top, ultimate liberation.
Now here's the absolute key to understanding this path. It is a purgative one. It's a process of subtraction. The goal, Nibbāna, literally means extinction. Think of it like blowing out a candle flame. Poof! You are systematically analyzing, uprooting, and extinguishing all the mental junk that causes suffering until it's just gone.
Okay, so we've climbed the ladder. Now let's step into Zhiyi's circle, which is a completely different world. He doesn't see the path as a straight line you have to climb. For him, it's an interconnected circle, where every single point on the circle reflects the entire thing.
Now, these are Zhiyi's 6 wondrous gates. And yeah, they're listed 1 through 6, and you might start by counting your breath. But don't be fooled. This is not another ladder. Zhiyi saw this as a holographic process. Each gate actually contains all the others. The simple act of counting your breath, if you do it with total awareness, already holds the seed of the final purification. Isn't that wild?
And that leads us to Zhiyi's most radical idea, something that just completely flips the script. He says, defilement is awakening. So the goal isn't to get rid of or destroy things like anger or craving. The idea is to see through them, to realize they're just empty forms, and that they themselves are actually woven into the very fabric of enlightenment.
So you see the difference? This makes Zhiyi's path revelatory, not purgative. You're not trying to create purity by scrubbing away impurities. It's more like you are wiping the dust off a mirror to reveal the perfect, brilliant reflection that was always there underneath. The goal is just to see reality as it is, a state he called Suchness. All right, so we've gotten a feel for both the ladder and the circle. Now for the fun part. Let's put them side by side and really see how they stack up. This is where the differences in their philosophy and their methods become crystal clear.
And this really gets to the heart of it all, doesn't it? What is the core difference between a path that analyzes everything and a path that tries to integrate everything? Okay, let's break this down. Take a look at how they view defilements, things like craving. For Zhiyi, they're just illusions to be seen through. But for Buddhaghosa, they are very real obstacles that have to be uprooted and destroyed. That's a huge shift in perspective, and it affects everything. Zhiyi integrates calm and insight as one thing, while Buddhaghosa analyzes them as separate steps. Even something as simple as the breath is seen differently. For one, it's a revelation of reality itself. For the other, it's just a neutral tool to help you focus.
So you might be thinking, okay, this is some cool ancient philosophy, but so what? What does any of this mean for me today? Well, it means a lot, actually. Let's make this really tangible by imagining what it would feel like to walk each of these paths.
So imagine you're on the ladder path. Your journey is all about being methodical. You're building up your concentration until your mind is rock steady. Then, use that sharp focus like a scalpel to analyze your mind and body piece by piece.
As you go through the stages of insight, craving starts to fade away, until finally, that flame of suffering is just extinguished.
Now, switch gears. The circle path feels totally different. Here, the line between your meditation practice and your daily life starts to blur and dissolve. The breath isn't just air moving in and out, it's a wave connecting you to everything. The stillness you find when you're sitting actually illuminates the world you return to. It's all about seeing the profound right here in the ordinary, not trying to escape from it.
So at the end of the day, this isn't about which path is better. They're not rivals at all. They're just different tools for the same workshop, the workshop of your own mind. Buddhaghosa's precision is like a sharp chisel. It keeps your practice from getting all vague and fuzzy. And Zhiyi's holistic view is like a wide-angle lens. It stops you from chopping your life up into meditation time and everything else.
And maybe, just maybe, both of these incredible paths can be found right here, in this simple instruction. The ladder of purification helps us find that calm as we breathe in, and the circle of wondrous gates helps us find that wisdom as we breathe out. Together, they're inviting us not to some far-off, distant goal, but to the awakening that's available right here, right now, in this very breath. So, what might you discover there?